Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Laura Canfield Show, the Awaken to Happiness Now Global Series. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And yes, I know we are at a special time because our guest today, Maya Boston, is in Australia. So we wanted to make it a little bit more convenient for her, a little bit more, I don't know, agreeable time. So thank you for being here with us. Thank you for taking the time to be with us, for sharing your energy with us. And I just want to say that while we're here today, you might want to, take some notes, just be relaxed, and really just listen and embrace the wisdom, the teachings that Maya is going to share with us today. And, part of what we want to do here at the Laura Canfield Show is to empower you to live your life filled with joy, peace, love, happiness, prosperity, and radiant health. And at the same time, let you know how supported you are, how you are a sovereign being, how you're very powerful, and that, anything and everything is within your reach. So you are not limited. You are an unlimited being of infinite potential. And we sometimes tend to forget that. So today, like I said, Maya Boston is back with us. We're going to be talking about tools for self-love. And self-love is actually maybe the key aspect for creating the life that we want. And so today we're going to talk about tools for self-love with Maya. We're going to learn 8 different ways to self-love. We're going to learn about how self-love is the foundational building block of the new human, and also find out why you cannot move forward on your journey until you learn to love yourself. You really cannot. And so it's crucial. It's really crucial. And so Maya is, like I said, in Australia. She's based near Perth in Western Australia. She's an international light language channel and activator, a Gong practitioner, speaker, and teacher in practice for over 13 years. And she facilitates workshops around the world. And her work is focused on opening the heart and mind of humanity through sound by using frequencies to change each listener's brainwave state, which touches the deepest parts of each individual being and assists with overcoming long-held blocks, simultaneously creating a space in which the listener can expand into. So, join us. Join me in welcoming Maya to the show once again. It's always such a pleasure, and it's always such a joy to have Maya with us. We always talk about wonderful, wonderful things, and I just absolutely love her energy and her wisdom and her, I know we're not talking about, whale songs today or gongs or sound baths, but that is really amazing too. And so, Maya, welcome.
Oh, thank you, Alara, and thank you to your community as well for joining us at this special time and making it a little bit more easier for me to come onto the show rather than the usual 3 a.m., 4 a.m. time slots that I get.
Yeah, those are like, oh my goodness, I couldn't do it. So I'm so glad that we are able to accommodate you. And also, it gives listeners who may not normally be able to join a chance to join us now. So It's all good. So, so Maya, I wanted to start off really quickly by just talking a little bit about the energies of today. I mean, I know you're really tapped into the energies and to the planet and what's going on. So can we talk for a few minutes before we talk about the tools for self-love? Just, catch me up a little bit on what's been going on with you. What have you been up to since we last spoke? And what are you getting for this year, 2020?
Wow, that's a lot. I could do a whole show just on that.
I know, right?
Cutting a long story short, okay. Since we last spoke, I went back to Lemuria, to Hawaii, and I swam with dolphins, wild dolphins in the ocean, and received so many gifts that I was ever so grateful for, and wow, it was like the moment I stepped out of the airport and was looking around for where was my pickup point. This amazing, gentle, warm breeze just embraced me, and I was wearing like a peasant style top, and it just kind of blew my top filled with this embrace, so it just kind of got in under my top, and it was just, oh, welcome.
Oh,
And
nice.
that was from the moment I arrived, and and swimming with the dolphins. They came up so close. I could have touched one of them. He came up so close. But of course, we were told on the swims not to touch them, and just to keep our arms by our sides as we're snorkeling along.
Mm-hmm.
And he came up so close. He looked me eye to eye, and it was an invitation: come swim with my pod.
Mm.
And I, in that moment, I sort of started to kick a little bit faster to try and join him, because he'd already swum off and to join the others. And I realized like my whole physical body was holding me back. And I felt a little bit of frustration in that second.
Yeah.
And then in the next second, I found I'd left my body and I'd actually gone to swim with the dolphins. So, and in doing that, something very deep awakened within me. And I started to sob quite deeply underwater, and I had to put my head above the water and get the snorkel out of my mouth. And I thought, I'm up for a huge release. I better make my way back to the boat.
Mm.
And just because I know the others were conscious of the fact that, you know, that each of us was going to require some space at some time. So I was grateful to them for giving me the space to release when I needed to on the boat. But wow, amazing experiences, how they would come towards you as a pod and then break into two groups and swim around you. Or at one stage I had them swimming below me and blowing bubbles, and the bubbles were coming to the surface, and I was right above them, and they were touching me all over, and I just got these I got the giggles actually.
Mm-hmm.
It was so joyful and loving. I got this infusion of giggles from their bubbles. And I nearly drowned myself, because as I was starting to giggle, of course I released the suction on my snorkel, and I was breathing in salt water. So
Right.
I had to bring my head above water to breathe the air and get the salt water out of my mouth, but just continued giggling above the water as well. Just
Oh.
amazing. And then coming home and just having time to myself to just unpack the multi-dimensional package that I was given. And then that brought me into 2020. And gosh, I mean, 2020 is such a huge year for us all, a huge year of change on the planet. And we're already seeing change. A lot of us, what we thought we were doing, we're not doing at all this year, and other things have come, to take their place. And it's just change. Expect massive change, and we're having more frequent waves of energy sweeping over the planet. So it's literally one wave after another now in a very fast pace, because of course we had those eclipses
Mm-hmm.
the 26th of December and then early January. So it started even before our calendar year started. So massive changes. And in fact, this is setting the trend, because this is not just a new year. It's the beginning of a new decade. And from what my guidance is telling me, when historians look back at this time, they are going to demarcate this time. They're going to give it some kind of word. Just like 2,000 years ago, we got BC and AD. They're going to do the same for this point in time. And everything before 2020 is going to be like the age of barbarism, and everything after 2020 is going to be the dawn of the golden age. So they're going to create some kind of term that's going to describe what this time is. That's how significant this time is, and we've all agreed to be here at this point in time. So
Wow.
Change in this whole decade, change, and everything that is not in integrity will be seen for what it is, and it will be transmuted. So everything that is not in integrity will be seen for what it is. So be brought to the surface from the underbelly, because it's not seen at the moment. And we'll all see it for what it is, and then it'll be changed. It'll be transmuted. And this means that by the end of this decade, every aspect of our lives will be changed. You know, and everything from our finances to the way we live, to the kinds of companies that are available and the products that we'll be buying from them. Everything will, you just cannot, I cannot even put into words the kind of change that they're telling me that is going to happen this year. It's going to be not just this year, but this decade. It's going to be massive.
Awesome. So I'm looking forward to it. I always love change. Change is, you know, my middle name, I used to say. And sometimes when we get bored, it's because there's something needs to shift and change, right?
Yes, absolutely. Boredom is just a way for ourselves to know that we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing.
True. And so this change doesn't have to be difficult or tumultuous. It can be, we can have ease with this change, right?
Well, it depends on the individual and how open we are to change. And some of the changes will be, oh, at last, you know, they get the message, and, you know, or finally I can buy this product. Finally, this is available in the way that I want to buy it. But other things will be uneasy. And this is because we're looking at massive systems, global systems that need to change. And they'll be changing to more life-sustaining ways for humans. They'll be changing in ways where resources will be shared more equally among everyone. And this is where we're going, you know, because the current system that we've been living in really has gone as far as it can go. It's not life-sustaining, and it needs to change. And I think one of the biggest systems that it's going to change, besides governments and religion and you know, pharmaceutical companies and multinational companies like that, I think one of the biggest changes is to our finances. And with all that, everyone's been talking about Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto, and all of those combinations. We've got that, well, actually it came in last year, so it's been building this massive planetary lineup, which has not happened for the last 359 years. And what happened 359 years ago was that the current financial system that we are living in began. And we had the big banking families that are on the planet at the moment, holding the finances. And so 359 years later, that's all come round again for a big change.
Oh wow.
So that's what I'm saying. This decade, we're going to see a lot of change. Every aspect of our lives will be changed by 2030. And I'm still going to be sitting here, and I'm going to tell you, look what we changed.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. Am I still going to be sitting here? I'm not sure. I definitely will not be in Vienna, but I'll be somewhere else. But yeah, I might still be sitting here doing these shows as well and saying, see, remember we talked about this?
I hope so, Lara. I hope so. We can go back. See, you heard it first here.
Exactly. Yep. Remember when. Yeah. Awesome. Good. And so, you know, I understand everything's changing. Everything's going to change, you know, starting this year. It's already started last year, to be honest, like in the fall of last year, the energy started shifting and changing. And so they'll continue this year. And for most of us, you know, if we are more in the flow and not resisting, the change will be a bit smoother, right?
Yes. It'll be smooth. As I said, It depends on the individual and how much resistance you have, but the less resistance, the more you flow, the smoother.
Yeah.
With ease and grace, you will flow through this.
Absolutely. And
So
the more you go ahead.
This is the change we've all been waiting for. This is the changes that we all want on this planet, because we can see that what's been happening up until now doesn't work. So so when we see the change, I hope we'll embrace it because we're creating it.
We've been asking for this. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so part of change, individually, personally, means, accepting ourselves more, loving ourselves more, choosing for ourselves more, right? Being in integrity with us and what we require, and as we move forward, right? So let's talk a little bit about the self-love. I mean, everybody talks about self-love. Everybody talks about self-love, right? And how it is like the most essential thing. For me, is like self-love and self-acceptance. If you have self-love, you're going to have self-acceptance, right? But I like to just, separate the two a little bit. But, if you don't love yourself, how can you possibly love anybody else? And well, as much, as freely, without judgment, right? Without conditions. So let's talk a little bit about what self-love means to you, and we'll go from there.
So so my self-love journey began probably about 15 years ago. And it's a never-ending journey, because it's loving yourself on ever deepening levels. And I know everybody talks about self-love, and this is really easier said than done in a lot of ways. So what I want to talk about today is some practical ways that we can start to self-love ourselves. So this is how I started. But let me just give you a definition. Well, first of all, it's not selfish, right? I know that this was what was taught to previous generations, and this is, as women, this is what we did, what we were taught by our own mothers, to put ourselves last. The family came first, and that's what worked in their time. It does not work in our time. It's simply because it's a different energy. Women are doing different things. We're no longer just raising families. We've also got careers, and this just doesn't work for us anymore. So self-love has really come to the forefront, even just on an everyday level. But for those of us who are following our ascension path, it's more important than anything. But let me say, it's an act of nurturing yourself, in a more conscious way than you have been in the past. And it feeds your soul. And it's a deliberate activity in order to take care of your mental, emotional, physical and spiritual health. Because if you're not okay, and you're taking care of a family, or you're taking care of others, and you're not okay, then you cannot give to anybody. You can't give from an empty cup. You've got to give to yourself so that you can keep giving others the best version of yourself.
And so, really quickly, nurturing doesn't just mean I'm going to go for a massage, or I'm going to give myself a 10-minute soak in the tub. It doesn't mean just that. Those are great, but it also means checking in with yourself and asking, what do I want? What do I require? Like, what is right for me? Right meaning what's good for me, what works for me. I remember just must be more than 10 years ago, but 10, 15 years ago, when I left my ex-husband, my sister said to me, why are you being so selfish? Why can't you be satisfied with what you have? And it's like, no, it's like, I'm not being selfish. I'm doing what works for me, what's right for me, what's important for my personal growth and expansion.
Yeah, exactly. And yes, I know that self-love goes beyond a slice of chocolate cake from time to time.
Yeah,
But it's a good start for
it
somebody
is.
who is just thinking about what is self-love and where do I start. It's a good start. It's certainly where I started all those years ago. It was buying myself treats, and then after a while I realized, okay, it's not just about buying myself something, it's more than that. So what is it? So then I went to taking time out of my very busy schedule, and I looked at my weekly schedule and really sat with it and thought, okay, where can I carve out some time for myself? And for me, it was late on a Saturday afternoon. That was my time. And so then I started, okay, let's do this once a week. I can commit to myself, because it's a commitment. I can commit to myself once a week. And do you know, in a busy schedule, how hard that is?
Yeah.
To even just do it once a week. There were weeks, and what I started to do was to soak in the tub, not just for 10 minutes, but I got myself into that space in the tub. Whatever it took, whether it was crystals or candles or bubbles, whatever it was, I put all that, I set it all up in the bathroom, and I got myself soaking in the tub. And then I realized, wow, this is where I can do my meditation. For some reason, I do it better in water than anywhere else. And then later years, I found out, oh, that's my water connection, because that's my connection to Lemuria.
There you go.
but so it became my time, an hour where I could sit and meditate in the water, relax and de-stress from the week and what was going on. I could reflect. I could do my inner work, whatever it took on that Saturday afternoon. And however difficult that was, because some weeks I'd forget. I would just completely forget about my Saturday afternoon, and I'd be halfway through the next week and I think, why am I feeling like this? I really feel stressed. And then I think, oh, I didn't do my Saturday afternoon. Of course, I really got to do that this week. And so over time, it became a habit. Yeah.
You have to schedule it in the calendar for yourself,
Yeah, it became a habit. And this is what it comes down to. It's about creating new habits in your life. So from there, from the Saturday afternoon, then it became a daily thing. I thought, can I do this on a daily basis, over a period of time? And can I do my meditation practice? And when is the best time to do that? Well, for me, again, late in the evening, I'm too tired. I would have just easily fallen asleep. So I began to set my alarm, and I was getting up at sunrise to meditate with the rising sun. And I thought and it would just happen to be at a time where we were coming into spring and then summer. So that was much easier for me than winter. And so I could do this, I could create this new habit for myself. And at a time where it was easier for me, because really I'm not much of a winter person.
Me neither. Me neither.
But having that lovely clear sky in the morning and the warmth of the sun and all of that was just magic. And that's what got me into my meditation practice really well. So then going again to a deeper level of doing it every day for myself, that was, as I keep saying, that's an ever deepening journey of self-love. So, it might sound like the easiest thing to do, but so many of us find it challenging to do it on a regular basis.
Yep. Absolutely. It takes commitment, and it takes, and it's like honoring yourself, and making yourself important, right? Yourself and your time important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you are important, because without you, maybe the family doesn't run properly, you know, maybe the workplace doesn't run properly. You know, you are important, and it's time that you realize that you are, and that you started taking care of yourself.
Absolutely. And the more that you take care of yourself and fill up your cup, then you can give from the overflow. Otherwise, you can become depleted, right?
Yeah. And when we have our cup full, then we can give the best version of ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, we're running on empty, and we're not giving others the best version of ourselves. And others deserve the best version of us.
Yeah,
They deserve,
absolutely.
you know, so the benefits of self-love, you know, you know, it starts to improve your physical health, you know, your physical, spiritual, mental, emotional health, for a start, because you're taking time for yourself, you're doing something that's nurturing you. And so, as we say, it's replenishing the cup, it's nourishing your soul. So you're happier, your mood improves, there's less stress and anxiety and panic attacks and depression in your life as well. It's key to having good relationships as well, because as we said, if we're having a good relationship with ourselves, we're creating this habit of good relationship with ourselves, then that ripples on to everybody else around us as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it improves our relationships. It's key to living a balanced life. So you have that work-life balance thing going on for yourself. You know, taking good care of yourself, as we said, it means that you're giving the best version of yourself to others. And so this is, by loving yourself, you're not just impacting your own life, you're impacting the lives of others, and you're creating abundance for yourself, because once you start giving to yourself, you start creating abundance for yourself, and that means that all ripples out to others as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's abundance and impact for other people's lives, because people are going to look at you and say, what are you doing? You know, what have you done to change your life? What have you done to turn your life around?
Right. Yeah. And it's a great way to model for others when they see you feeling uplifted, inspired, happy, joyful, and at ease. And, you know, and that's because you're giving to yourself first. So you're giving and you're receiving at the same time first. And if you're able to receive from yourself, then you can receive more easily from others, right?
Absolutely. You give permission for the universe to flow through you, and for all that energy to flow through you, and you're receiving, and the abundance, you're receiving the abundance of the universe.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And then that goes on through you to others.
Yeah. Beautiful.
How amazing are you?
And that's just by doing some simple little things for yourself, taking care of yourself, nurturing yourself, whether it's meditation, reflection, it might be yoga, whatever it happens to be. Like, it's different for each person, right? But whatever you can do to come back to you, right? And love yourself, accept yourself. And at the same time, you know, that nurture and nourishing that we give so generously to everybody else, but we don't give that same type of attention, focus, importance to ourselves.
Yes, I agree. And you know, we can do some things to start changing these habits that we have of not giving to ourselves. You know, so these self-love activities need to be something that you actively plan, rather than something that just happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like you said, scheduling it into your calendar. So seeing where you have openings in your calendar when you look at your week, and making sure that you schedule time for yourself. That's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of people, we don't do that. You know, I mean, I work with my calendar every day. I have to, otherwise I would be like completely lost. But, you know, there are times when there are little gaps, you know, where I could add more things in there for myself instead of being distracted by, I don't know what, Facebook, for example, right? So that's why I try not to go on there very much anymore, because it's like, oh my God, so we can get really easily distracted. But if we have it in the calendar at this time, on this day, I'm doing this, and we commit to it and we adhere to it, you'll start to see a difference, right?
Absolutely. And so, so start by adding the activities to your calendar, because that's the first part of your commitment to yourself. And then also actively look for opportunities to practice self-love. So these activities are not something that you are forcing yourself to do. Let me just make that clear. It's not like, oh, I've got, an hour here at lunchtime. I can go down to the gym. I should go down to the gym and do some exercise. And if you are not really finding joy in going to the gym, then that is not a self-love act. Yeah.
So I just want to ask everybody really quickly, Maya, for everybody who's watching or listening now, you want to type in the chat, what are some self-love activities that you do on a regular basis? Just give us some examples of what you do. So, because you might say something and it's like, oh, that might be fun for me. I might be, interested in doing that, or somebody else on the call. So why don't you type in what you do right now as Maya is sharing some other examples of self-love activities. I'm putting Maya in the spot. It's like, oh, was I going to do that?
That's okay. Walks in the park. Absolutely. I recently spoke to a client who just seemed to be doing the ant track between her apartment and her workplace, and has no other commitments except to her pets. And I said, is there a park near you? Is there time on the weekend to take the train out into the country and just spend a day in the countryside doing something you love? It's as simple as that. And the penny dropped for her, and she just went, oh my gosh, that's so simple. And yet, yes, I can do that. Because sometimes we tend to be hermits in our own our own homes. So aside from scheduling these things in the calendar and then and then looking for opportunities, we can also announce our plans to others, because once we've spoken it out loud, we're manifesting it in the physical, but it also increases our commitment because we've told others we're going to do it. And so we know that if we've told others we're going to do it, they're going to ask us, oh, how did that go? And then you're going to be put on the spot.
Right. And these activities, they don't have to be like a whole day or half a day or hours. It can be 10, 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be a big, long thing either. 10, 15 minutes to an hour, so like, Carol practices her music and she walks every day, which is awesome. Scott loves old rock and roll. I know some people like to draw or do art, but even that, it doesn't have to be the whole day, right? So it can be in short spurts.
Absolutely. You will find your own natural rhythm and routine in this. The more you practice it, the more you'll find your own routine, because everybody's different. We one size does not fit all, I keep saying. So as individuals, we will all do it in different ways, but we all have different times and different rhythms of doing this in our lives. So as I said, it's not something that you force yourself to do. It's something that you love doing. It's something that you're passionate about. It can be as simple as walking your dog.
Yeah, that's what I do 3 times a day.
Yeah, it can really, it doesn't have to cost you anything.
Yeah.
There's so many things you can do. Connect with community activities in your area. There must be something in your area. So many people are doing so many things. It could be just that once a week connecting with I don't know, here I live in the country here, so we've got the Country Women's Association. So, but it can be anything. I know the CWA was created just for that reason, women supporting each other in the country and coming together and sharing recipes. I'm sure that's what they did in the day, you know, and supporting each other, talking about their problems and what's going on for each other, as well as taking, you know, their lamingtons and scones out into the community, you know. It's whatever it is for you. It's you know, it's what you do, and it's fine. It's what you're passionate about, whatever your hobby is.
Right.
As I said, it doesn't have to cost anything. Connecting to community, it's a simple thing. You know, you'll be able to identify and implement more, and you know, particularly identify more and more the forms of self-love that work for you, the more that you practice this. So sometimes you can try new things, which I encourage everyone to do. Try new things, but sometimes new things don't work for us. We just say, oh, I don't think I'll do that again. But you know, at least you've tried it. At least you know. You know, sometimes we try something and then we know what we want to do by defining what we don't want to do.
Absolutely.
So, you know, it's a journey. This is what I say. It's an ever deepening journey of discovery of who you truly are by practicing self-love. And the more that you do it, the more you're replenishing your cup, the more you're discovering about yourself. It's not, you know, it's not just about introspection and doing work on yourself, but it is that as well.
That comes naturally. That just happens by itself. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
And
It's
it's also that occasional piece of chocolate cake, but it's more than that.
Yeah. I mean, you know, nourish yourself, do what feels good, but do it consistently, right? So you know, you know, I like to walk in the park, but you know, do I do it every day? Do I do it once a week, or do I just do it when, you know, I happen to look out and see, oh yeah, the park's there, right? So if you love to do something and it inspires you, like lights you up, then schedule that more regularly, right? So I mean, I have a park down the street. Did I go there all winter? No. You know, it was like But now that it's spring ish and a little bit warmer, it's like, oh yeah, let's go walk to the park, Mia, you know, because it's like right there. And it's nice because you get to see, you know, I like it because I get to see the geese and the ducks and etc., you know, and it's very nice. So you know, I have to like tell myself, yeah, go to the park instead of just, you know, go down the street and come back. You know, like go to the park, and because you enjoy it. So go to the park, sit down, watch the, you know, watch the geese, etc., and enjoy, because it nourishes you, right? And so that's what we forget. That's we don't schedule it. We don't give ourselves that time to do it. It's like if it happens, it happens, but we don't say, yes, I'm going to do this because I like it. I enjoy it. It brings me peace or joy or whatever happens to be, right?
Yeah. And that's the point. It isn't just something that happens. You actually have to consciously do it. You actually have to consciously schedule it for yourself. And then be aware of what you do, why you do it, and how it feels, and what the outcomes are. You know, so as I said, if it's something that is not quite working for you, then you can tweak it, you can change it, you can do something else. You know, but it's constant conscious vigilance around yourself and how you're feeling in any given moment while you're doing it. And you know, you were talking about watching the geese and the ducks in the park, and it reminded me, I was in Taiwan last year doing some workshops, and in the middle of the workshops one morning I just felt, I mean, you know, if anyone's sort of been to Taipei in Taiwan, it's a massive city. It's all concrete and high-rise buildings, and a just 10-minute walk down the street, I discovered there was a massive park down the street. And so when I stood in the middle of the park with all the greenery around me, I wouldn't have known that I was in the middle of such a hustle and bustle city if you know, just standing there in that park. But I made a point of going down there because I was watching the water birds, I was watching the turtles swimming in the lake in the middle of the park, and I walked around and I was watching what other people did. You know, they were doing their Tai Chi in the park, and, you know, the children playing, and somebody else doing, you know, some other kinds of activities, and the gardeners working on a section of the park. And, you know, there's so many things to see, which was such a change from that routine, because I did a 7-day straight workshop.
Oh, wow.
And so I really needed to take time out in the park in the morning to replenish before I went to the workshop later in the day, and started to give, you know, from
you had to fill up your cup first before you could give some more. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Right?
So you know, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can still find you know, some little sanctuary, something to do. I mean, really, going to the hotel gym or swimming in their pool didn't really appeal to me. They're not the kinds of things that I want to do. So taking that walk down to the park was more nourishing to me than anything I could do in the hotel. And I mean, the hotel was just lovely, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't the sort of thing that worked for me.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, if you don't have a park nearby, it's, you know, you can sit and meditate. You know, you can do yoga, you can go to a yoga class, you can go, you know, do a meditation group, or just at home you can do that. Or you know, anything that nurtures you, you'll know what works for you, right? And the thing is, doing that consistently. Once you find something, do that consistently, and at the same time, like Maya was saying, look for something new as well, because you never know what is going to open up other possibilities for you, right? And other avenues of joy and happiness, right? You don't know until you try something new. And so I'm always about, you know, what else can we do that's fun and new, right?
Yeah.
But the nurturing and the replenishing can be done at home as well, you know. So if you do yoga, if you do meditation, if you listen to nice music, you know, that uplifts you, inspires you, that too, you know, is great. Or if you're like writing in a journal, writing gratitude, that's also you taking time for yourself. That is what self-love is: taking time for yourself, honoring you, taking a few minutes and just being for a few minutes is awesome.
Yeah, I was just reading the comments there, and someone said, you know, a few of them said listening to music, and I'm just seeing them. You know, I mean, you can dance to the music in your own house, right? So, you know, dance like no one's watching, because they're probably not.
Exactly.
You know, so have fun with your dance. I mean, Joanne says, I lay down with a warm blanket and watch the sun go down before supper as often as I can. It's winter here, you know, and I can just see her, you know, snuggling into the warm blanket. Thanks for sharing that, Joanne. And Marga says, love from Taipei. Hey, wish I've seen you guys. You know, so I see, Carol, what happens if you have been out of balance for many years? Takes time to get the balance back. Yes, of course, it's a process. Again, it's a process, and it's you've got to start somewhere. You've got to start somewhere, Carol. So whatever works for you in the beginning can be simple things, like I said, buying yourself treats, but then you go on to deeper levels, you know. So I often emphasize to my clients, it's keeping a conscious mind is necessary, and if you don't see an activity as self-love, it's not going to work as a self-love activity. So that's important to be mindful that it is something joyful, it is something that nourishes you. So when you finish doing it, you feel replenished, you feel nourished, you feel relaxed, you feel de-stressed, you feel happier, you feel at peace, you know, all those things. That's what a self-loving activity is for you. That's what you get out of it at the end.
And Carol, you've already started, so you're doing great. You're already on the upward swing of things, and you've already started doing practices that nurture you and that, you know, feel good to you. So you're good. Keep going.
Wonderful. And it's not a static system, you know, as we're saying, it goes to ever deepening levels. So as you do this practice for yourself, you will take care of yourself on ever deepening levels of yourself. Yeah. So it starts superficial, and then you go to deeper levels. It's a journey inward. Yeah, it's a journey of self-discovery.
And it's a journey of self-love, right? Because at the beginning, you might start superficially, but once you start doing more and more, you will start to notice or know for yourself what you need and what you require. And, because like for me, some things, they don't do it anymore. So for me, I need, like everybody knows this, I need to be outside in nature in the sunshine. I need that. Everybody knows that. I need that, right? And that's a part of self-love and nurturing for me, and taking that time. So making sure I take that time when I see the sun is out, like, oh, let's go, Neo, right? And regardless of what's going on. But a lot of times it's also about taking that time to meditate, taking that time to, maybe create some art. I haven't created it in a while, so it's like my body is like, maybe some art would be good, because it wants to do it, right? So it's like, yeah, maybe some art would be good. So, it's going to be different things, but we get sidetracked, we get busy, and this is a way to bring you back to balance, like we were talking about, and bring you back to yourself and what's important for you. And loving yourself is key. It's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the ever deepening levels, and remember that it takes 21 days to create a new neural pathway in your brain, and to have this habit really stick with you. So give yourself the time. It's okay. As Alara said, doing self-love activities that you already know and love, but then also keeping an eye out for new ones and discovering new ones. And it's, as I said, it's a dynamic system. It shifts and changes. Things will no longer work for you, so you won't do them anymore, and you'll implement new things that do work for you. So, and I think creative activities are probably one of the essential ingredients in your self-love practice, and creativity can be any, I mean, it's not just doing drawing. It can be, I don't know, it can be knitting, it can be planting a garden, it can be baking a cake. That's all part of being creative. It's a whole lot of things, not just not just drawing, because I often have people say, oh, I can't draw, or I don't have a creative bone in my body, or something like that.
I used to say that, but I don't say that anymore. I used to say that for sure. It's like, I don't have a creative bone in my body. And then I created some art, and it's like, oh, wow, that's pretty good. That's really good. It's like, okay, I take that back.
Sure. It can be, knitting, crocheting,
Music.
Music, anything, sitting down and playing some music, creating some music, dancing, the all the expressive arts, that's all creativity. So I think it is an essential part of our daily practice to do one thing. But to get to a daily point, you have to start somewhere. Everybody has to start somewhere. Exactly. I started once a week. I started doing a commitment. This is my commitment to myself once a week. Can I commit to myself once a week? And it was difficult in the start, but I got there.
And then every day, and so on. Yeah. And that's the thing. Oh, I was just gonna say something, and then I lost it. It's like completely gone out of my head. Oh my goodness, I hate when that happens. There was something I was gonna say. Oh my God, what was it? Oh, it's gone. It'll come back if it's important.
And so Carol's also sharing that deeper levels are happening, because she has her time belongs to herself, and there are lots of people whose time belongs to themselves, and they don't know what to do with themselves, you know.
Mhm.
I can share with you, I was speaking with my 92-year-old mother the other day, and she was telling me about her neighbor. By the way, my mother still lives in her own home and is still very independent at 92.
Wow.
Gosh, she's a firecracker, that one.
Mhm.
And she was telling me about her neighbor who's bored with his time. He doesn't know what to do with his time. He's got all this time on his hands. He's a man in his 70s, you know, and he's always looking at her and what is she doing, you know, why is she so busy? My mother keeps herself busy if she's not in the garden and she's out and about. And you know, and at that stage they, you know, they get a free bus pass,
Mhm.
you know, and she often jumps on the bus and goes and into the city, and you know, she'll go and check out a museum, an art gallery, or you know,
Wow.
sometimes she'll even sit down at a cafe and just get herself a lemonade and watch the world go by, you know. But she's saying, why doesn't he understand you can do these things?
Right,
That,
and that's the
you know,
thing.
even at that age, it's,
Yeah, and
you know,
anything is
they're
possible.
simple things. You know, you get on a bus, you jump on a train, you take yourself somewhere because your time is your own. You know, who cares?
Explore.
You
Yeah,
know,
explore.
my mother didn't want another dog because you know, she feels it wouldn't be fair to the dog because she is the age that she is, and you know, if the dog outlived her, then what would happen to the dog? And
Hmm.
you know, so her time's her own. She has no restrictions on having to be at home and take care of pets. So you know, she's always busy, you know, always
She
keeping
has the
herself
freedom
busy.
to be busy.
Absolutely, you know, she doesn't have a television, by the way, so she listens to the radio. She's out in the garden, she's going for walks, she's asking questions, she's keeping up to date with current events.
Wow.
You know, she's doing her crossword puzzles. So, you know,
She's
can
quite
be indoor
active.
activities. Oh, absolutely. At 92, this is why she's still in her own home.
Amazing. That's, I mean, like, wow, I don't know what I would be doing at 92. It's like, it just sounds so,
Well, I heard of a lady she was a few years back. She was 93 at the time, and she looked forward to the 3 days a week when she went ballroom dancing. And she would go down to her local dance studio 3 times a week. And what she really loved about it was that she would get dressed up in her frocks, you know, because I
mhm.
think she was English, so she called them frocks. And so she opened, and this was like a little news, you know, feel good news story. And she opened up her wardrobe, and she had all these lovely ball gown dresses, you know, that she would wear when she went ballroom dancing. And she loved putting the makeup on and getting her hair ready and putting these lovely dresses on, and then going and doing what clearly was her passion, what
Yeah.
kept her, you know, herself flexible, because she was dancing, she was moving her body, she was, you know,
Yeah.
filling up her cup 3 times a week at 93, you know. And I thought, I want to be like that at that age, you
I
know.
want to be like that
That's
now, you know. What can I do to fill up my cup even more? So I just want to ask everybody who's watching and listening now, you know, what can you do to fill up your cup even more? Right? So what can you do to fill up your cup even more? What's one activity that you're going to do? Because just listening to Maya about her mother and this other woman, it's like, that's very inspiring. It's like, I'm not doing enough, you know. It's like, I feel like I should be doing more, you know. It's like, so what are you going to do to fill up your cup even more, to replenish yourself even more? Because it is, you know, like I said, it's essential, it's important, and it starts with doing something, and then doing that something repetitively, right? Consistently. You start every week, then go to every day, etc. But keep doing it. And you're going to notice a difference. Even if you do it every week for a couple of weeks, you're going to notice a difference within yourself. And you're going to start to appreciate yourself even more for doing it, for choosing it, and for allowing yourself to receive it. Okay. It's good.
Absolutely.
And that's what one of the key points here that I want to emphasize is that you are receiving from you, and then from the universe, and then everybody else around you. Because we don't receive very well, right? So this is what a great way to receive from you, saying, I'm doing this for me because I love myself. I'm doing this for me because I love myself, to show myself how much I love myself. I'm doing this for me. I'm taking this time for me. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And Carol shared being able to protect my own time because I love being on my own, and my sister wants my time and it belongs to me because I am happy. Absolutely. Good for you, Carol. I agree. And we have to protect our time because otherwise we get caught up in everybody else's stuff and we forget about ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
We lose ourselves.
Yeah. And trust me, people will want your time if you make it available to them. Why would they say no, right?
Well, especially if you're happy, happy people draw other people to themselves. Yeah, they draw them in because they are happy. And I mean, you think about it, you don't really want to spend time with somebody that's miserable all the time. Sure, if you've got a friend that's feeling down for a while, you're happy to support them.
Mm-hmm.
But, if you've got someone that is constantly complaining, is constantly negative about life and things in general, it's not really a pleasant person to spend time with.
Yeah.
But if you have a happy friend, then you're more likely to spend a lot of time with them because they're happy. It's good to be around them. It feels good to be around them. Yeah, you feel good. Your cup is replenished by their happiness. Yeah,
absolutely.
So happy people tend to draw people to them, and then this is where we really have to be protective of our own time, and really, and this is where it comes to our to the self-love practices, our boundaries, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Where we're making sure that our boundaries are in place, that yes, I can help you for a certain amount of time, but then I need time for myself.
Yeah.
Or you could have had a very busy day at work, for example, and missed out on lunch. And just as you're, going home and looking forward to picking up some lovely takeaway for yourself, and bringing it home and enjoying a quiet evening at home, you get a phone call from your best friend that wants your time because she's having a really bad day or a really bad week or month or year, and then is your boundary in place?
Mm-hmm.
Do you go, oh yeah, I'm going to be there, and not give yourself the time and the food that you missed out on earlier in the day? Or is your boundary in place and you say, look, I've really had a tough day and I can't do this at the moment, but I can do it for you tomorrow. Let's catch up tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so important. I'm so glad you mentioned that. Boundaries are, again, crucial in order to maintain and protect your energy, but also to keep you replenished, and on those days when you need that extra replenishment. You have to get to learn to say no. And like Maya said, give an alternative. I can't right now, but how about tomorrow, or how about next week, or whatever it happens to be. But learn to say no. So many of us, we don't say no. We just like, okay.
Yeah, and we go from that depleted state, from not having eaten lunch and have worked all day, and being stressed and overtired, to trying to help somebody. How can we help them if we're not in a place from being filled and replenished? And we can't help them from an empty cup.
Yeah.
So this is why self-love is not selfish. It's mandatory for everyone to learn this, and this is why I'm saying it's like this foundational building block for our ascension process, because unless we learn these simple things, then we can't do them. We can't do much more for ourselves in our own journey, and even less for others.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And especially if you are in the service field, like if you're a healer and if you're serving others, it's even more important to replenish yourself and have those boundaries, really strong, right?
Yeah. And you're serving as a role model, you know, because if you're suddenly you know, doing these self-love practices and creating change in your own life, someone's going to see that, someone's going to notice that, someone's going to ask you, what have you doing lately, you know, for yourself? I noticed there's a change in you. So what are you doing to have change, to be not as stressed, because you were really stressed before? Or I noticed you were really depressed before and you're not now. What have you done to change that? And you
Mm-hmm.
could be helping somebody, you know, you could be
Yeah.
helping somebody in their own dilemmas, in with their, you know, their own problems in their own lives. You know, so we end up being a role model for them as well,
Absolutely. Yep. And
setting an example.
especially for your kids too. Like if you have kids at home, they watch everything that you do. It's not just the
Yeah,
words that come out of your mouth, but how are you treating yourself? And they're
yeah,
learning that, from you.
yeah, absolutely. And this is where I said, in being in integrity, if you are not in integrity, which means if you do not walk your talk,
Mm-hmm.
it is going to come up for you to look at. Yeah, it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
obvious. And so, it might be your kids saying, but mum, you said this, but you're not doing that, you're doing
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah.
It could
You're
come
not
from the
practicing.
mouths of,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
You're
going
not
to come
practicing
from
what
the
you
mouths
preach.
of, yeah, it's going to come from the mouths of babes, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It happens all the time.
Or it's going to come in some other way where it's really going to be in your face in this new energy of 2020. It's really going to be in your face where you are not in integrity with yourself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where we really have to start looking at our lives, and what are we doing, what are we saying? Is that integrity with my values? And am I actually doing that? Am I practicing that in my life? Because it's going to be seen very, very, very shortly. It'll come up as a health issue, it'll come up as a comment from somebody else, it's going to be seen for where you are not in alignment
Mm-hmm.
with yourself. Yeah.
Right.
And I was talking to a client the other week, and she was running herself ragged, trying to give her kids, she used the term it fills their cup when they
Mm-hmm.
do these extracurricular activities.
Right.
And I said, but it's filling their cup, but it's depleting yours. And so what example are you setting for your daughter, for example? 3 times going to dance classes. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that's great, but I mean, it's quite a driving distance for you to do that, and you're running yourself ragged. What kind of example is that for your daughter? She's going to be a woman, as she grows into adulthood. What kind of woman would you like your daughter to be?
Yeah.
And you ask yourself that question, and what can I do in order to set a good example for her so that she becomes that woman? Yeah.
Absolutely.
And these are some hard hitting questions, because it really means that we have to be honest with ourselves, and to really take a good, honest look at what we're doing in our lives. We can no longer live our lives in an unconscious way. We can no longer live out of alignment with ourselves, because it will be seen. It
Mm-hmm.
will show up for you.
Mm-hmm. So that's not to scare you, but it does make you focus back on you. What are you doing? What are you saying? Who are you being? What are you being? And are you, shining your light, or are you dimming? Or are you speaking up? Are you in integrity? Are you being authentic, or are you not? Where are you
Yeah.
hiding? And where are you not giving to yourself? Because if you don't give to yourself, why should other people give to you? Right? So
Absolutely.
other people cannot replenish your cup. Only you can do that. Well, I don't know. Maybe.
You can. No, well, it starts with you, and the degree to which you take care of yourself, the degree to which you love yourself, is the degree to which others will love you,
Mm-hmm.
because you're allowing only so much in, to receive. So someone might have a whole lot of love to give you, but you're only allowing so much because that's all you allow for yourself. That's all you give to yourself. So that's all you'll receive from others. So the more you expand your love for yourself, the more you will receive from others, and as I said, from the universe as well. You get the whole abundance thing just flowing through you on so many levels.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was just going to ask, does anybody have any questions about anything that we're talking about right now? About self-love, nurturing, honoring yourself, self-love practices, etc. If you do, you can either type it in the chat or you can raise your hand, whatever works for you. All right, and I'm just checking really quickly to see if there was something else that we needed to talk about. Find out why you cannot move forward on your journey until you learn to self-love. Well, I think we kind of covered that as well, right? That
absolutely,
you can't receive from the universe if you don't give to yourself. And you can receive more once you start to give to yourself and replenish yourself. And a lot of that replenishment, really, it's just honoring you and nurturing you and giving you the importance that you deserve, and the acknowledgement that you deserve, right? A lot of times we don't get that from anywhere else. So we acknowledge all the wonderful stuff you're doing and gift yourself the time, the freedom, the space, the sweets and treats, whatever happens to, not every day, but once in a while, right?
Yeah.
Gift yourself, as because you deserve it. Like, it's kind of like doing like mini celebrations to honor you, to celebrate you. And self-love is about celebrating you. Okay. I don't do that enough, I'll be honest. I don't celebrate. So that's something I definitely need to do. And, can I replenish myself more? Definitely. Definitely. I'm pretty good, but I could definitely do it more. I could include more self-love practices for myself. I know. So I was like, I think I should, we'll see what wants to come through in the next couple of days. But, and for me, I have to schedule it because I'm really busy. And so if I don't schedule it, it's going to go by the wayside. I'm going to get distracted. It's not going to be in my head anymore. After this conversation, it's like, what did Maya say? Maya who? No. Right. But it's like, if I don't consciously focus on it, I'm going to get distracted by all the other millions of things I have to do.
Yeah.
Right. So are you consciously focusing on loving you, on filling up your cup, on replenishing you, on nurturing you?
Yeah. I think we're all works in progress. I think we can all do more. I think some of us are doing more than others, but I think even those that are doing more can do even more, because that's why I say it's an ever deepening journey into self-discovery. There's always something new. You think you can only find out so much about yourself, but there's always something new to find out about yourself. So, and there's, self-love, comes in so many different forms that we probably wouldn't even think about a lot of them either. So that's why I've included some of them in my special offer.
Let's talk about that. So great segue. So if you're on the live page, you can just click on special offer. If you're not, you can go to alara.at/show/Maya2. All right, so Maya's tools for self-love. And in this package, there's a 30-minute personal session with Maya. There's 7 coaching session MP3s, which we'll talk about in a second. There's a creating and maintaining healthy personal boundaries. There's an MP3 and a document, a worksheet. And then there's the anxiety, not just fear or worry ebook. So Maya, let's talk about some of these things. So of course, the pièce de résistance, the most important piece, I think, for this special offer is a 30-minute personal session with you.
Absolutely. There's a 30-minute session with me to discuss what some of your issues are, what are some of your concerns, and some of the practices that I can suggest for you that you can put into place that will help you along your journey. These are coaching sessions, and and so there's a lot of people come in. I'm sure everybody's got something that they need more help with, so so it's like a 30-minute coaching session just for you.
Awesome. And so then there's the 7 coaching session MP3s. What are those about?
Okay, so again, different ways that sometimes we wouldn't think about, that are forms of self-love. Judging yourself is one of them. So I know we all judge ourselves to some degree, and in this coaching session talks about how we judge ourselves. Now, each of these 7 coaching sessions has a meditation and ways that we can, like tools for every day, how we can change these things into more self-loving practices. So judging yourself, of course, is one where sometimes our own worst critic. So how to stop doing that. Another one is people pleasing. A lot of us, we would say yes when we really should be saying no, right? How to learn to do that. Balancing our masculine, feminine energies. That's another way of self-love, because the masculine is all about doing, and the feminine is about sitting and being. Yeah, so bringing that balance into your life. Keeping our words and actions positive. How many times do we complain about things during the day? So it can be as simple things as about complaining about the weather, but still it's complaining. It's a negative energy. And so how do we keep our words and actions positive, picking ourselves up, catching ourselves when we are thinking negative thoughts, and immediately putting a more positive thought in its place, yeah? The oneness of you is another coaching session, and so understanding that you are one with everything, so here expanding your consciousness and understanding that you are not in separation, you are not alone, because a lot of people think they are alone and feel lonely, yeah, but we are connected to everything around us. Another one is coping with change. We are living in an ever-changing world. It's a dynamic system. Things in the workplace change. If I listen to some of my clients, they'll say 1 minute somebody was there and the next day they weren't there. They were called into the office and marched out of the building. And it happened, and it's shocking and it's traumatic at times as well, when change happens to us, and can happen at any time. So how to cope with change. And recreating yourself is another coaching session. Recreating during these times of change, and working out what works for you, what does not, and then creating a better, newer version of yourself that flows with grace and ease in these changing times. I think that's a really important one for this year and this decade. So they're the coaching sessions. And as I said, each of them has a guided meditation, a gong sound bath, and practical tools for everyday life, of how to change these habits that are not self-loving. Yeah.
Awesome. Beautiful. Thank you.
And then I've got the 90-minute coaching session, MP3, which is all about creating and maintaining healthy personal boundaries, because there are so many types of boundaries that we have. Yeah, and I talk about the different types of boundaries. You also get a worksheet that comes with this, so you can work through it to see where your boundaries are at, and talk about how to deal with some of these boundaries when they're crossed. And I also ultimately talk about conflict management. which again is about boundaries, honoring your boundaries and honoring other people's boundaries, and how to resolve conflict where if it gets to that point when someone has purposely crossed your boundary and continues to do so after you have asked them to stop.
Awesome. And then the last piece is the ebook.
Sure. This is a short little ebook. It looks at the different types of anxiety, identifies them, and how to manage some of these, how to identify them, how to manage some of these types of anxiety. So, so as I said, it's a short little, just a short little reminder of how to work out where anxiety, because I know a lot of my clients have got anxiety going on for them. And how to manage their anxiety. So I've got some great tips. So if you buy the package and you've got anxiety, we can talk about anxiety in your personal session as well. As somebody who has themselves, me, have had anxiety on and off in my life. And the different things that I've done to manage anxiety to the point where I'm no longer stressed by it. I don't feel it. And if I do come into a situation where I am feeling it, I've got my tools that I'm quickly able to, okay, what's going on? What's this about? Why am I feeling like this? All right, this is what I need to do for myself. Yeah. So, so again, another self-love practice.
Awesome. Beautiful. So all of those pieces of the package are available for $97. So like I said, for me, the pièce de resistance is the 30-minute session, but also, I really like those 7 coaching MP3s, because it's not just coaching, there's a guided meditation and the gong sound bath as well, which of course, I love your gong sound baths, Maya. They're so beautiful, so powerful. And of course, the whole coaching MP3 on boundaries. In the past, I was not very good with boundaries at all. I would just say yes, 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 especially to my kids, family. Yes, 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 yes. Now, we'll see. Is my first response. We'll see, and then we go from there. But I don't automatically say yes anymore. It's like, no, I have to honor. I don't have to, but I honor myself first and foremost. And then if it fits in with my schedule or whatever else, yes, unless it's a major emergency, then it's like, okay, fine. But other than that, I check in with me and see, does this fit? Can I do this? Yes. Okay, great. Awesome. No, sorry, I can't. And,
And that's a great response, Alara, because a lot of us are caught off guard. Someone will just say, oh, can you do this for me? Or can you go and deal with this for me? And we just automatically say, yes, we're caught off guard. Whereas your response, I'll see, kind of buys you that time, that buffer for you to think about, is this, in alignment with me? Is this something that I can manage? Do I have time for this? So it gives you that sort of buffer where you can assess quickly for yourself, is this right? Is this self-loving for me or not? And then come back with a response, because once you've honored yourself, then you can come back with an honest response to others as well. So this is where I'm talking, talked about earlier. It's also key to great relationships, because you're being honest. You're not saying, oh yeah, I'll do it, and then you don't end up doing it because you've been too busy, too tired, too whatever. You're actually assessing within a space of time. I'll get back to you. I'll see. Gives you that time. You're honoring yourself, giving yourself some time, and then coming back to them with an honest answer. And they can go from there with deal with whatever your answer is. Exactly. If it's a no, then, they'll go and ask somebody else. If it's a yes, great, then you go to the next step. But you've given them an honest answer, which is in alignment with who you truly are.
And part of that also comes down to not being a people pleaser, you know? So instead of pleasing everybody else first, please yourself first. And then if there's room for everybody else, awesome, great, you know, but does it work for you? You know, it's like, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And it's like, doesn't work. I can't, you know, like, I can't do it. Sorry, you know.
You know, it's like my example before. You've had a long day at work. You haven't had your lunch. You're looking forward to something really nutritious to eat and some quiet time at home. And you've got this friend that's, you know, giving you a call to say, I need your support. And, you know, do you honor yourself and say, I'm sorry?
Oops. Did we just lose Maya? Oh my goodness, we did. Wow. Okay, hopefully she'll be back in a second. But yeah, so like we were just saying, honor yourself first and foremost, and then if there's time and room for you know, somebody else, great. But not, you know, I always say not at your expense if you can help it. Unless it's an emergency, that's a different story. But preferably not at your expense ever, right? And a lot of times as parents, you know, we tend to give at our expense. And when, you know, we think that that's normal, that we think that that's what's required, right? But not necessarily, you know. So it is good to take a look at those dynamics as well and see what works and what doesn't and what can change, right? So I'm just going to check in and see if I think she's lost her internet. I think so. All right, well, we were at the end, I think, anyways. So I don't think she's able to come back. So Maya, thank you so much for being here with us. I know you're not here now, but thank you. And everyone, thank you for being with us. Thank you for sharing, asking your questions and sharing what self-love practices you are currently doing, and really think about what else can you add to your life. You know, what new self-love practices can you do for you, right? And put yourself first, right? Honor yourself and put yourself first. It's not selfish, you know. Fill up your cup, replenish yourself first, and then you can give from the overflow. Then you can actually serve better and give more once you replenish yourself. All right. So thank you, everyone. And until next time, may you continue to be blessed with an abundance of joy, peace, love, happiness, prosperity, radiant health. Sending you all much love and blessings always. Bye for now.